Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today I'm going to be unboxing 3 new Lattafa fragrances I recently picked up, including Lattafa Ramz Silver. So let's jump into it. Alright, so it's time for another unboxing and first impressions video of 3 new Lattafa fragrances that I recently picked up as part of a larger haul from Fragrance Buy and Perfumes Online. I have links down in the description to all these fragrances if you decide you want to check any of these out. Also have coupon codes. Save yourself $5 off first purchase at either one of those discounters. Who doesn't like a good Lattafa fragrance haul? I love me a good Lattafa fragrance haul, and I got one here for you today. Really excited about these 3 fragrances. I got Ramz Silver, which is one I've been wanting to pick up for quite a while, and I got 2 other ones that I've been really curious about. So let's quit screwing around. Let's get into them. All right, first up, we got a flanker here to probably one of my favorite kind of summer style of fragrances from Lattafa. I've seen this one around. I have the oud version, I have the OG, and I had to pick up the last one, and that's Najdia Tribute. You can pick this sucker up for $22 at Perfumes Online. And I really don't know much about this fragrance. I really like the Najdia. It's one of my favorite kind of summery Invictus-y style of Lattafa fragrances, and the oud Najdia is very nice as well. So let's bust into this Tribute, see what we got going here. Come on. All right, so there we have the box presentation for Lattafa's Najdia Tribute. Very similar style box to the OG. It has that kind of leaf design that's on the original Najdia. The Najdia, oud Najdia doesn't really fit this kind of vibe, but the Tribute is keeping with that. So nothing too crazy about this box. It is a nice kind of a shimmery design on there. All the necessary is on the back, but overall pretty straightforward cardboard box. So let's take a look at the bottle. All right, so there we have the bottle presentation for Lattafa's Najdia Tribute. Fairly similar to the OG Najdia, but it's a nice kind of matte black bottle versus kind of a clear one. Very similar cap design to it, and it does have that leaf design, kind of in a glossy black style of like sticker, something. Quite nice, I actually like this. This kind of caught me by surprise. I was expecting a clear bottle. Cap on this, pretty lightweight, plastic style of cap. It's got a little bit of, you know, strength to it, but still kind of a cheap plastic. And the atomizer on this. Uh-oh, okay, here we go. Wow, really fat sprays doesn't go very far, but it'll probably get the job done. What does this smell like? So right off the jump, this has actually caught me way off guard. This doesn't smell like anything like Najdia, the original, you know. Very like oudy, there's a little bit of sweetness, but it's a very dark, leathery, saffron oud style of fragrance at this moment. So I was expecting something a little bit closer to Najdia, but not the case right now. So let's get this on paper, dive into this, see what we got here. So in this initial opening off the paper, I am getting some more kind of citrus and a little bit of sweet notes coming up top. But again, this doesn't smell anything like the original Najdia. It's got this kind of gingery sort of feel. It does have some like citruses, like a bergamot style kind of going up there, and a little touch of sweetness, kind of some fruity sweetness, like an apple of some sort. There is a kind of a little bit of a saffron sort of vibe going on there, like a hint of woods at this moment, but right now it's kind of a little bit of sweet citrus, but it's not overly sweet, not overly citrusy. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's a very toned down style of sweetness, but it is there, and those are the notes that are popping through the most at this moment. Yeah, those citrus notes and those sweet notes are slowly starting to dissipate, and this more kind of a darker feel is starting to come through. So again, with some woods coming through, some saffron, that kind of leathery sort of vibe coming through. The oud is starting to poke through. So this is gone from like sort of a bright, sweet style of fragrance opening, and it's really quickly transitioned to a little bit darker, and it's really moving into those kind of darker notes, that leather, woods, oud style of fragrance. There is a little pop of floral in there, like a violet that's kind of moved through, and it's just kind of softening. It's almost kind of like acting like a transition between those citrus sweet notes and that kind of dark, leathery, woody style of scent accord that's happening. It's kind of bridging that gap. It's not very forward, but there is kind of like a little bit of a soft floral that's kind of in there that's kind of just balancing things out a little bit, kind of easing what I'm assuming is like kind of a transition to a much darker fragrance. A little bit of amber starting to poke through, adding some of like a texture to it, giving it kind of a dry, woody sort of feel to it. But again, we still got that kind of oud, leathery vibe with just a kiss of that citrus and that sweet accord that's still hanging on, with that floral that's still maintaining that balance. But this is quickly transitioning to kind of a leathery oud, wood style of fragrance. very interesting so far. We'll see how this dries down. We'll go from there. All right, so we are back with the dry down of Lattafa's Najdia Tribute. It's been just over an hour. I've let this settle down, do its own thing. This fragrance is interesting. And I say interesting because I might be being a little bit polite because I don't know if I don't think I like this one too much. It's got kind of a weird, sweet, funky style of oud going on to it. With that little bit of floral that's in there, it gives it a little bit of softness, a little bit of sweetness coming through. It might be adding to that sweetness I'm picking up from the oud. And there is kind of some dark woods that are mixed in there, and it's got this kind of leathery saffron sort of vibe going on to it, but the oud really comes forward, and it, like I said, it's kind of a funky sweet oud, and it's a little weird. It's not like unique weird, it's just kind of like, it's just, I don't know what this is trying to do, and it's just not that appealing to me overall, to be quite straightforward and honest. I'm not digging this one. The oud doesn't come forward as like a nice oud. The sweet accords that are mixing with it are a little weird. The leathery vibe coming through is not the greatest style of leather. It's just kind of a mishmash and a bit of a mess, to be quite honest. And I'm not really a fan. It has a darkness to it. It has that kind of little bit of citrus that's still there from the opening. But again, with that floral sweetness mixed with that oud, some wood, some of that leather, it's just kind of a weird combination of notes that should kind of work together to make a nice fragrance, but it just doesn't seem to be doing it off paper right now. So I'm gonna have to get this on skin a few times, give it like a full wearing, give it some justice. It's gonna be different on paper than it is on skin. So I'm not gonna write this one off right away, but I'm a little disappointed because I really liked the Najdia and the oud Najdia, and this one just kind of was a bit of a letdown so far. So just my honest thoughts, just my honest opinion on this. I will circle back to this one and maybe change my mind, but so far, a bit of a flop for me. That's Lattafa's Najdia Tribute. All right, next up, we got a fragrance that was pretty hyped up for a little while there. Lots of people were talking about it, and it sold out, and I couldn't get my hands on it for a long time. But when it became available on Fragrance Buy, I knew I had to scoop it up, see what all the fuss was about, and that's Lattafa's Rave Now. Now I scooped this bad boy up for $22 at Fragrance Buy, and I've heard some really good things about this one, so let's dive in, see if the hype is real. All right, so there we have the box presentation of Lattafa Rave Now. Kind of a nice box. It's got this kind of like plasticky kind of texture to it, so it's got that kind of, the noise making sound like I'm a child. Anyways, has this kind of nice kind of cutout pattern, like these kind of windows that are sitting up top, and yeah, overall this is kind of a nice box. It's got that kind of like different texture than your normal cardboard box, but let's see what the bottle looks like. All right, so there we have the bottle for Lattafa's Rave Now. It's actually a really nice bottle. I do like this kind of cutout design that they have going on here. It says it now on the front there and Rave on the back there. And it is kind of like a plasticky, rubbery almost kind of texture here. And a bit of a cheap plastic kind of casing around it. But overall, this is like a decent looking bottle. I don't mind this. It's got a little bit of like kind of interest to it. It's not your typical kind of bottle. Cap on this is a fairly thick plastic, but it is pretty lightweight. It's got kind of like a top heavy feel to it, but overall cap's not bad on that. And the atomizer on this, good atomizer on this, good distribution, nice wide puffs, definitely get the job done. But what does this smell like? Right out the gate, and this is no surprise because I have heard this about this fragrance, is this lots of pineapple, lots of juicy, fresh style of pineapple in the air right now. So let's dive into this, see if there's a little bit more to it or if this is just a pineapple fragrance through and through. Let's just see if there's any kind of nuances to this. Yep, so as expected, this is pretty pineapple forward, but there is a little bit more to it than that. There is like a little bit of black currant kind of coming through, an additional fruit sweetness of some sort coming through. Sort of got like a bit of an appley sort of vibe. There is a hint of some woodiness that's there. It is kind of tucked in behind that pineapple right now and that kind of black currant additional fruit sweetness. But again, this is very pineapple forward right now, but it's not as sweet as I initially thought it was going to be, at least in this opening minute or so here. Very fresh cut pineapple, kind of like, not syrupy necessarily, but it is kind of almost like a canned pineapple or like cutting into like a nice fresh ripe pineapple at this moment. Really nice pineapple accord. Little bit of additional citrus in there. I am picking up like a little bit of a bergamot, so it's kind of like balancing off a little bit of a kind of a tart citrus with that kind of sweet pineapple, that sweet fruit note, a little bit of that black currant that's moved in. And again, there's some woods in the background, just kind of giving this like a bit of a masculine sort of vibe going on to it. So this isn't like a super sweet, maybe overly feminine sweet style of fragrance. Definitely kind of a masculine style of fragrance, but it has that, you know, level of sweetness, that very pineapple forward vibe going on. Really quite nice. It is balanced off quite nice. I was expecting like a screeching forward pineapple that was going to be like very cloying and abrasive, but it's balanced off really nice. There is a little bit of additional sweetness coming in. There's like some vanilla, a little bit of muskiness coming in, balanced off with those woods that are coming forward a little bit more. A really nice pineapple fragrance, but it's balanced off quite nice. I am enjoying this quite a bit. Very nice. Let's skip to the dry down. Let's see how this kind of comes together, how it settles in, but so far, very nice fragrance. All right, so we are back with the dry down of Lattafa's Rave now. Been just over an hour. Let this one settle down, do its own thing. This is just really, really nice. As this is dried down, that pineapple has come forward a lot more. Like I said, it was very pineapple forward in the beginning, but now it's kind of just like isolated itself, and it has some really nice notes that are kind of forming around that vanilla, or around that pineapple, sorry, like some vanilla. That black currant still in there. There's a little bit of woodiness that's happening in here, but the pineapple is just very refined. It doesn't have that sickly sweet, synthetic, kind of aggressive, screechy style of pineapple that you get from some fragrances. This is a very nice, smooth, citrusy style of pineapple. It's absolutely gorgeous. There is a little bit more character to this. Like I said, it is a pineapple fragrance, but it has those other notes that kind of dance around the edges, adds a little bit of character to it, and adds some like additional nuances to it. Like I said, that black currant that kind of runs through, that vanilla that kind of just, it smooths those edges of that pineapple to like keep that screechy sort of like sweetness that I talked about before. Keeps that down. It really smooths out those edges, and it does have some nice masculine woods in the base just to make this kind of a masculine style of fragrance. Really, really nice. Very well blended. I am quite impressed. It has that very similar Cayenne El Frisson sort of vibe going on to it, but I am finding this to be a little bit smoother. I really like the El Frisson. It's a nice pineapple fragrance, but that one is like really kind of forward, sugary, sweet, screechy style of pineapple. This one's a little bit more kind of refined, a little bit more mature, a little bit more gentlemanly in that sense, because it is toned down and it is balanced off. So I am really liking this one. Pending performance, this might be my new star of the show when it comes to pineapple fragrances. I am definitely going to get this on skin really soon here. I'm going to do a full review and let you guys know what I really think. Compare it off to some of the other pineapple fragrances I have in my collection. Let you know, maybe do a pineapple video. Comment down below if you want to see me do a pineapple fragrance video or something like that. Awesome, awesome fragrance. Really happy with this for 22 bucks. This is a really great pickup for me. So quite impressed. Definitely worth checking out. That's Lattafa's Rave now. All right, and last, and hopefully not least, I've heard a lot about this fragrance. I've had a few of you ask me to do a review on this one, get my hands on it, and I finally did. It's Lattafa Ramz Silver. I scooped this up for $24 at Perfumes Online, and I've heard a lot about this one. I've seen it around, but it's been kind of hard to find as of late, but it is on Perfumes Online. Apparently this is a clone of Le Male, Ultra Male, so let's find out, shall we? All right, so there we have the box presentation for Lattafa Ramz Silver. Nothing really to this one. Typical cardboard box. It does have this kind of like fingerprint and some glossy black that's sitting there, if the camera can pick that up. And then a silver band that's kind of wrapping around it with all sorts of like weird keywords or buzzwords. Together, jazz, cool, admire, hot, love, you and me. Wow. Not sure what that's all about, but pretty straightforward box. Let's see what the bottle looks like. All right, so there we have the bottle presentation for Lattafa Ramz Silver. Kind of a unique bottle here. Again, it has those kind of buzzwords on here like together, jazz, admire, cool, hot love. Again, I don't know what that's all about here, but interesting bottle, I guess. It's a little bit different, out of the ordinary. Cap is also kind of a unique shape and design to that. It's got a little bit more going on than your typical cap. Fairly lightweight. It's actually got a little bit of weight to it, but you know, pretty durable. I don't think I could break that if I was trying to crush it with my hand. And the atomizer on this, well, that goes pretty far. Nice atomizer on this. But what does this smell like? So again, right off the gate, smelling this in the air from testing the atomizer, this definitely has that kind of ultra malt vibe going on to it. Strong pear note that's going on there. I am catching some like lavender and some minty profiles that are coming through. And there is like a powderiness to it, like a very kind of dry powderiness. It's kind of like almost tickling my nose at this moment, but very sweet, very kind of ultra malt, off 9 p.m. sort of vibes going on in the air right now. So let's get this on paper, see what we're dealing with. Yeah, so right out the gate, you are getting that pear note and you are getting those ultramel vibes going on to it. And that off-non 9 p.m., the off-non has like more of an apple note, and it's a lot sweeter, I find, like a very kind of sweet apple in the 9 p.m. This one's a little bit more subdued. It is kind of a sweet pear, but it isn't as kind of juicy sweet, almost sugary sweet as the 9 p.m. is. So this is a little bit toned down in terms of the sweetness, just the right level. And there is like this powderiness and this kind of clean lavender that's coming through. So I think there's like a vanilla amber that's coming in from the base, giving it kind of that vanilla powdery texture with that pear and that kind of like aromatic clean lavender that's kind of sitting in the back, but it's just kind of elevating those sweet notes and the kind of that powdery texture going on. Very nice. A little bit of mints is coming through. It's not very strong, but it's just kind of giving it a little bit of a fresh, spicy edge. There's apparently some cardamom and some sage that are supposed to be in here. I'm not picking up too much of those notes individually, but there is a kind of an aromatic nature to this. There is a bit of a fresh, spicy nature. I am picking up a little bit more on the mint fresh spicy than I am, you know, of a cardamom style of fresh spicy right now, but very nice. This is a very nice fragrance. That pear note is opening up more and more as this kind of goes on. It was there at the beginning, but it's just becoming a little bit more rich and a little bit more forward right now. Those aromatics are really kind of like elevating that, giving it it's sort of that front stage appearance. It's really a nice, well-rounded pear. Like I said, it's not overly sweet, just kind of a perfect fruity style of sweetness right now. Little hint of kind of earthy patchouli kind of coming in at the base, just to kind of give this a bit of a foundation at this moment, but it's not a strong patchouli by any means, but I can detect it in the background behind that kind of vanilla, the musk, the pear, some of that fresh spiciness, those aromatics coming through. Let's let this do its thing, dry down, see how it kind of comes together, but so far, pretty happy. All right, so we are back with the dry down of Lattafa Ramz Silver. Again, been just over an hour. I've let this settle down, do its thing, come into its own, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. Really enjoy this one. The vanilla's really come forward now that this is dried down. It still has that really kind of nice powdery dry style of amber that's working through, but it's mixing kind of with that aromatic nature to it. So this is kind of a light fragrance, but the notes are still a very strong. So you pick up those centichords quite easily. It has a little bit of power to it, but it has this lightness, this airiness to it, and you still get that nice kind of fruity pear sweetness coming through, mixing with that nice vanilla, a little bit of musk in the base. Really, really nice fragrance. It's just that powdery vanilla that's coming through, mixing with those aromatics and sweet fruit accords. Just absolutely gorgeous. Definitely still has that ultramel sort of vibe going on to it, that 9 p.m. sort of vibe. I find this is the sweetness of this compared to the 9 p.m. is a little bit more subdued, is a little bit more kind of like refined maybe, a little bit more like elegant in the sense that it's not like super forward and super aggressive like the 9 p.m. And I really like the 9 p.m., don't get me wrong, but it's just different in that sense. The 9 p.m. is very sweet, is very forward, is very powerful, whereas this one has a little bit more of a kind of a gentle side, a little bit more of like a lighter side to it, but it's slightly different and really, really enjoyable. I can't wait to get this one on skin. This is definitely going to get a full review once I get some wearing. I think this is going to perform fairly well, maybe not as well as the 9 p.m. The 9 p.m. is a bit of a beast mode fragrance, but I think this one is going to do fairly well because it is pushing off the paper really nice. Oh, can't stop smelling the paper. Awesome, awesome pickup for $24. Really happy with this one so far. Pending performance, I think this is going to be an absolute banger. Really happy with this one. Definitely worth checking out. That's Lattafa Ramz Silver. All right, so there you have it. That's 3 new Lattafa fragrances that I recently picked up. Unboxing, first impressions, the whole shebang. I went 2 for 3 on this one, which isn't bad. I can't go 3 for 3 all the time on these, but really didn't care for that Najdia Tribute. Just ain't my jam, but again, I'll get that on skin, see how it does. I might change my mind on that. But the other 2, beautiful pineapple fragrance with that Rave Now, awesome ultramel style of Cologne with that Ramz Silver. Definitely gonna be doing full reviews of those 2. Pretty pleased with those 2. I think those are gonna be awesome fragrances. And I wanna hear from you guys. What's another Lattafa fragrance that I haven't reviewed yet? I haven't done in a haul that you would like to see. Comment down below. I love hearing from you guys. I love getting your different recommendations, scent profiles, different tastes, hidden gems. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.